Good evening, everyone. Welcome to One from the Heart live stream, a production of the Children of the Setting Suns Productions. We're very honored to have you here this evening. Looking forward to being here this evening to have an awesome discussion. Tonight's theme is checking in with our friends from around Indian country, and Indian country in this day and age is really large. Our indigenous relatives from all across the
Checking
world.
in with
So
our
we'll have some friends here near the United States, inside the United States, and also some relatives from New Zealand. So we're really excited for tonight's episode of One from the Heart. And I wanted to share that the purpose of One from the Heart is a response to the coronavirus, COVID-19. And as we encountered a new and a paradigm shift, many of us are trying to make sense of what this all means. And so there are a lot of moving parts that includes issues and support and heartache and community compassion, and only to name a few. And so this live stream is meant to help the community to make sense of what is happening and to maybe uplift hearts and spirits of those who are addressing the epidemic in their own way. I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Danisatan. Danisatan is the second generation name. I carry the male version of my mother, Diane Vendiola, Viluz Vendiola. Her one of the names she carries is Donicia, and so I carry the male version, which is Danisatan. And my birth name is Michael Vendiola. I'm a Swinomish Indian tribal community member, and I also have descendancy from the Lummi community through the Hilaire family. So I'm very honored to be here tonight to host another episode of One from the Heart. Really awesome to have this series going on to support and uplift folks in any way possible. I'm going to do some introductions here real quick, but before we do that, as we always do, we are going to open with the opening prayer or song that's appropriate in a prayerful way. And so we're very honored to have Smakia Matt Warbus here, who will open it up for us. And thank you so much for being here, Smakia. Thank you so much, Smakia. Smakia, our relative from the Lummi Nation. Just a few words of introductions. Thank you for offering that song. And Matt is well known for his flute playing, but also is a language instructor, teacher, specialist for the Lummi Nation. Kolami Chasen is a teacher in the teaches in the community, but primarily teaches in the public schools, helping our uh, native students and also non-native students who want to learn the language, pick up that language. And we've had many discussions about how to implement language in our communities, and he's been a great resource for that. Um, we, I think I'll just be honest, ladies and gentlemen, this show is going to be really tough because we have friends and relatives on here that we go way back, and so the problem we'll have is all these stories that we have and histories will come forward, and so I'm just going to apologize right up front. Try not to do anything too embarrassing, and keep it real civil. So, but Matt and I go way back to when his high school days, and he also went to Northwest Indian College, and just very honored to have him be by my side for many times in my life, and continue to support one another. So I'm just going to go through the introductions, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in to One from the Heart. And tonight we're very honored to have a lot of special guests that are joining us, some that will join us midstream. First, I want to introduce our friends and relatives, Sherman, Alexie, and Diane Tom have. Very honored to have them both joining us tonight. And coming in is a dynamic duel. As many folks know, is a well-known Spokane, Coeur d'Alene author, and his partner Diane Tom have, as I know personally, um, has been an educator in our community for many years, and I remember way back as well, going back in our histories. One of the favorites I remember, Diane, I'm not sure if you do this, you might talk about this, but she used to run book clubs. And this was like I don't know, at the end, like the invention of email, I guess. And she had an email book club that I was on, except I never read any of the books, so I could never contribute anything. So that was really sad, but I was always excited to just like read what everybody was getting out of the books. And so that was so many years ago, probably like 20 years ago. You could share a little bit about that. It'd be great to hear. But very honored to have Sherman and Diane. We go back a long ways as well, and just been great to see them in their lives and developing along. And they have kids that are the same age as my kids, and so excited to see both here. We also have Mylene, Rakena, and she is our Maori relative who's joining here tonight. And I'm going to butcher these names, and I apologize. Nagati Hine, Nagapuhi, and Nagati Kahungungu descent. And she completed her LLB, which is a Bachelor of Laws, and a BMS, a Bachelor of Management. And it says HONS, which I'm going to assume is honors. So really ultra smart, specializing in Maori land and corporate public relations. And Mylene is particularly interested in environmental governance and sustainable natural resource management on Maori-owned land. So this is exciting. It'd be great to hear your perspective on how this epidemic is impacting or supporting or taking away from the work that you're doing. I have a history with him because I know both some of the music that he plays, and his relatives. His uncle was Jim Boyd. We're very honored to have Tony Louie, Colville singer, born and raised in Inchelm, and started playing music at 14 years old. Became a bar musician at 16. I'm not sure how that works. Must have a different drinking age over in Inchelm. And then is now a full-time musician. As I mentioned, his uncle is Jim Boyd, and rest in peace, Jim. In his passing, Tony had dedicated more exclusively to become a musician in his honor and to carry on his music. And so many of you who know Jim Boyd, either as a tribal leader or as a musician, done a lot for Native music. And so to honor his uncle Tony, to honor his uncle Jim, Tony has received last year in 2019 was a recipient of a Native American Music Awards, so a NAMI, and so that's pretty awesome. Award-winning performance artist. He's traveled all over the world and playing soulful music, and we're going to get a chance to hear a little bit about that. I'll say more about him as we get to that point. So what we're going to do, I just want to say welcome, thank you to each of you for being here. And we're going to have just open conversation, just talk about in the pandemic and whatever you feel like sharing regarding, how things are going and what kind of hardships you might feel like sharing, anything that can support our communities, in this pandemic era. So we'll just go ahead and go around, be round robin, Sherman and Diane, Mylene and Tony, Smakia, Matt, if you want to join in conversation, please feel free. And then folks that are tuning in, also feel free to share some questions or thoughts and ideas, and we'll do our best to get those addressed. So how's everybody doing out there? How are you guys surviving or thriving in the pandemic? Now, I'll just share a story. One of my favorite stories about Sherman, mainly what we're going to talk about with Sherman is the pre and post mullet era, because it's sort of like surviving a pandemic. He used to have, if you look at his old books, it has mullet, and I don't know why I can't stop talking about it, but he used to have a mullet, and at some point, I don't know if it was his the person that handles him, his agent or something, you gotta get the mullet. So anyways, that's a good place to start. How are we surviving this pandemic? We'll just go on from there.
I cut the mullet in about 1999. It's so funny. People go on and on about it, but it's like 21 years ago.
Can't let it go.
I know you can't. Nobody can. I understand. I had it. I think one of the reasons I kept it is because I was just starting into the non-Indian world, and it was pretty scary for a res boy. And I think I kept the mullet to look as res as possible. And after a while, there was an era there when they were really making fun of it, and they're mostly making fun of poor white folks for their mullets. So I also kept it as a badge of my class. It was race and culture and class warrior. That haircut, warpath in the front and salmon storytelling in the back. So yeah, I had that a long time, and then I cut and then I grew it out just regular style. And then I cut that when my dad died in 2003, and I haven't grown it back. And my mourning has not stopped.
Although I have, in the pandemic, I have cut his hair. And I've cut one of my son's hair as well. And I've cut my dog's hair. So I'm learning some skills in the pandemic.
Is that all new? Like you never did that before?
Yeah, I never did that before. And I actually even gave the ends of my hair a trim too. It looks okay. A little bit angled, but it's better than it was.
What else has changed during the pandemic?
Actually, the pandemic, we started being very aware of it as soon as we had that person who entered the country that we were in the middle of January, partly because one of our sons had some real respiratory issues as a baby. So we're always kind of concerned about germs. And we even canceled some travel in February due to being concerned about the potential. And then, so we started social distancing pretty much the end of February. And then once the country did, or the state did and the country did, we were already in it. And it has been hard. It has been hard. Partly, the other thing though is right away I got a Zoom account because I still have a book group. And we did Zoom gatherings just to support each other and talk about how we were doing at the very beginning of the lockdown. And then we've been meeting, and I've used it for social stuff, for talking with friends. And I've done a lot of cooking. And one of the things that I've realized that how exhausting emotionally this is, even though things seem okay, it's hard to be afraid all the time. And this week is a good week, I think. They're not all good, but this is a good week. And I have really developed some routines, and that has helped me a lot.
Nice.
One
of my favorite stories, Sherman, is you told about how you commute to work and that you get up in the morning and then you'd walk down the stairs and then you'd sit down at your desk for your morning commute.
Yeah, and
history of working from home. How maybe you could share with us how to work that.
Well, my commute has changed because my sons are home, and my older son, I have the big TV in my home office. So my son is always down here watching his stuff. I don't have much time during the day when somebody is not in my home office. So I've been writing with my noise canceling headphones on all the time, hiding in corners, writing in closets, going on the deck. No, I've been lying on the couch tapping away on my iPad. That's how I've been writing.
How does what did you say is in your office? A PE?
No, my the big TV.
What the heck is that?
Big TV, television.
Oh, TV.
TV like this. TV. I'll do some sign language. TV. I know you lummies just got it, so.
Yeah. So it has an antenna on it?
Yeah, aluminum foil rabbit ears.
How has the pandemic been?
And for me, though, the pandemic has been really hard. I have mental illness. I'm bipolar. And so I'm already up and down with my emotions. And this has just really magnified those. So I've been getting very depressed and very manic. So I've really had to manage my emotions. So I upped some of my good medicines and talking to my therapist online, which is interesting. And I'm telling stories, talking to my wife and my sons and our brother-in-law. Her brother lives with us. So I've been making sure to stay in. One of the best things to do is stay involved in your own life. So I've been spending a lot of time with them, talking instead of being silent. And my sisters, we've been FaceTiming onto the Spokane Indian Res where I grew up and where my sisters still live. And we've been having a great time. They're in their HUD house with about 97 different animals. And so we're having a good time. Yesterday, they called me and my sister was dyeing her hair, getting rid of some of her gray, the family gray. And she had a Target bag on her head. It was a ton, and she made it so the Target was right there. And it was the resiest I'd ever seen my sister look. And she's way res. She's like deep res. But she had a Target bag on her head. And she called me with a Target bag on her head. So her new Indian name is Target Head.
So she's like doing stealth, like hair dyeing or something, or
yeah, she looked it up on YouTube. Yeah, I guess the plastic holds in temperature and it makes the dye set deeper if your head's hot, I guess. I don't know. At least she's not using bleach in her veins.
Ugh. Yeah, we won't even go there. That is not a solution. So I want to bring in Mylene to the conversation, relative from Maori land. Welcome, Mylene. And certainly I prefaced maybe you could talk about during your introduction all the work you're doing regarding Maori land ownership and environmental governance, and how that's being impacted by the pandemic, or just in general, how things are going over there. Oh, you're on mute.
So unmute myself. Can you hear me?
We can.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Te mea tūtahi māku e whakawhetai tō mātou matunui te rangi. Kia tapu tana ingoa. Greetings and salutations from Aotearoa, New Zealand. First, I acknowledge God, who is the author of all things. Manaki tia mātou he hui mai e tēnei rā. He mihi a ngau ki ngā haue, ngā iwinga o ngā haue whā. May God bless us all in this time of COVID-19. And I also acknowledge through ngā haue whā, the people of all the four winds across the nations and across the world. We have been in lockdown level 4 in New Zealand for 4 weeks. And we were given approximately 3 days notice. So our Prime Minister told us on the 16th of March that we were on level 2. We would be escalated to level 3 within 24 hours, and 48 hours which would be level 4. Level 4 suggested that we are to stay in, and this is the terminology that New Zealanders or Māori and New Zealanders use, family bubbles. Don't burst the bubble. You are to stay home at all times. And also the other thing is that of course, everybody went to what we call to the supermarket or to the grocery store and bought out, and the grocery stores were sold out of toilet paper, because apparently that's the most important thing for people to buy. When it comes to governance, so currently I am an academic at Te Paringa Faculty of Law at the University of Waikato, and one of my passions is the Treaty of Waitangi and Māori governance. Māori, so there are 3 structures within New Zealand in Māori society. Whānau, which is a small grouping of people that are bound through genealogy or political driven issues. Then you get hapu, which are clusters of whānau, so we go up about a step, and iwi, which is like a tribe. Now, a lot of tribe, we are Māori believe, and I think in all Indigenous peoples, that I am the land and the land is me. So we have responsibilities to our resource and to the whenua or the land that we are guardians over. And a lot of Māori in New Zealand, New Zealand is comprises of 2 islands. The North Island, which I'm living in, we are an island state, so we're surrounded by lots of water. And the evidence was suggesting through COVID-19 that the transmission of infection was through overseas travel, people moving in and out. We are high addicts to tourism, people coming to see us and see what's so different about us. And then all of a sudden, so transmission was done through overseas travel, people coming into New Zealand. And the iwi, so we're talking about clusters, and there's approximately 90 iwi in New Zealand. And they were saying the government is not looking after us. They're not looking after our resources. They're not looking after our waters. So Māori started to put roadblocks on the road saying that you cannot enter into our lands or into where our water is because of COVID-19. Now, in the main, tourists are really quite considerate. Yeah, when you go to another land, you're considerate of customs. But there were a lot of people that are coming overseas that perhaps don't appreciate Indigenous empathy and spiritual well-being that comes from looking after our land. And so they were actually quite arrogant, inconsiderate, throw their stuff in the water, blah, blah, blah. So when Māori started to do blockades, that's up on the North Island and all around the area, different areas, or set up what they called COVID-19 emergency response teams for Māori, there was an uproar in New Zealand that Māori are doing everything that's contrary to being a New Zealander. So what has happened with us is that the police have gone and talked with iwi and says, we're happy to do that if it's going to stop people from spreading, transmitting disease. So that's one of the things that has been helpful. I think it's been really interesting also that iwi, so where I come from, my mum and dad are in their 70s, and iwi have sent health packages, Zoom packages to all their members of their tribes. Because unfortunately sometimes, and like you just mentioned, mental health, our safe haven, which is our home, is now work. I have to commute, but I can't shut off my head because I've got to go to work. And as a consequence, it's really difficult. And just on a good note, I'm in my family bubble of 8 people, so lots of conversation, lots of food. So we eat 2 regular meals every day, which is quite disgusting. But one of my daughters and my son is a cook. So, we're the guinea pigs, and I would say gluttonous guinea pigs. I think it's important that mental health is really important, that we keep in touch with, like we've got technologies allowing us to talk to our people, to talk to my mum, who's really quite, everything's got to be washed. Everybody's got to wear gloves. Everybody, if they go to town, they got to wash all their clothes. She's really quite gone to the end of the spectrum. What I find quite interesting is that in New Zealand, when you go and buy groceries, we see people with masks, and I find that quite intrusive. And I say, oh, it's to protect me from you instead of you from me. So that's one of my things that we're doing. I met Ellie a couple of years ago in Harvard. We did a conference there. And I also went to, I don't know if you went to January in Tucson, which is in Arizona. They do courses over there for Indigenous peoples. And I met some really lovely Indigenous peoples from Canada and from America. And we have things in common. And I think that it's really important to have emotional stability together, that everybody's sharing the things. And I think it's really brave of you, Sherman, to talk about mental health. A couple of my daughters went into that zone, and it was hard work to understand what was going on, because we thought, oh, you're not doing the right things, but they were. So I say thank you to you, Sherman, for saying these things, because there's a lot of people that this disconnect through not being able to touch. Māori are very tactile. We like to touch to give reassurance. But now we're saying, well, maybe a smile is enough, or be very much like the French. Mwah, mwah, mwah. So kia ora. So that's all I've got to say.
Thank you so much, Mylene. There's a couple points I want to get back to, after we hear from our other guests. But that idea of the sovereignty of our tribes or our entities are, being able to close their borders when and how they want to, is something that our tribal nations are doing here as well. And it'd be great to hear more about that, and also what you're talking about regarding the reactions, how we like on our over here in the US, we have folks that are protesting and getting up in arms, literally with guns, protesting at state government buildings to open up back the economy and refusing to wear face masks and those types of things. And, you know, those are real things that are presenting another danger. So it'd be great to hear more of what your take on that from over there in New Zealand. Thank you so much for being here. And I think we now have Cynthia Jim has joined us. Are you there, Cynthia? All right, hey, Cynthia, unmute. So I know Cynthia was still muted. Cynthia's joining us. She's I believe Northern Cree tribal member, and she was on another event, so she's just joining us now. So I'll give the floor over to you, Cynthia. You could say a few words of introduction and just give us your thoughts on how you're doing with the pandemic or the work that you're doing in regards to the pandemic, and just join our conversation.
Thank you, Michael. It's such an honor to be joining you. I'm joining you from the homelands of the Wanik people. I pay homage to the Wanik people and thankful to be on their lands, speaking and playing and working and all of that good stuff. I carry the indigenous name Shulakwa Kolosawit, and those are names passed down from generation to generation in a matriarchal line. Currently, I work as a director of programs at Indigenous Community for Leadership and Development. And I've recently, because of COVID-19, have had a huge learning curve with online presentation. I have a live feed that goes on Tuesday, a live feed from Indigenous Community for Leadership and Development to give voice to our people on a platform that we are still learning about. And then on Thursday, we have Tea with Cindy. And then anybody that wants to join on that platform, we can have up to 40, 50, 60 people in conversation about a topic at hand. But more importantly, my hands are up. I want to give a shout out to the Navajo Nation, who is currently undergoing some challenges with the COVID-19 epidemic. We're hearing a lot of losses, even with family and friends down there. So my hands are up, and I send energy and love and light to those communities first and foremost. Secondly, I'd like to thank our ancestors for allowing us to be here and speak in a good way. I ask that they be with us in this conversation so that we accurately express ourselves with honesty, forthrightness, with kindness, patience, love, humility, and health as well. What I'm doing on tomorrow, we have a live feed and it's based on power. I want to create a conversation on power. There's so many contexts of power within our indigenous, not just within the world, but with our indigenous communities. And many of our people are impacted by power, whether it's balanced power or whether it's thriving for power. So what we want to do is have as many diverse perspectives tomorrow on our live feed and in exploring what that power is, what it looks like. What does it feel like to have power, whether it's imbalanced power or whether it's balanced power. Also, what does, when you're thinking of power, how does that unravel? You know, how does it unfold into community or into family, or how does it unfold within ourselves as Indigenous people? So I want to create that platform for a conversation for those that are interested to explore the many contexts that are out there, create that space, create a safe place for people to be able to discuss, and perhaps even enlighten some of our viewers out there, or even have conversation. We have Q&A on the sideline of our Zoom. It's actually a Zoom presentation much like this. So it's been a huge learning curve. I joined Facebook exactly 3 months ago today. First time in my life. So you can imagine the learning that I've done. I've even nervous to press different buttons, or what does this do, and making a few mistakes. So it's been really enlightening and really fun, but I've really found the positive of Facebook. And I think it's reaching out to the community and asking them, what do you think? if we looked at this from all angles and all sides, what kind of things can be expressed from each individual, each family, each community, each nation. And so really just the Tuesday live feeds from Indigenous Community for Leadership and Development looks at that empowering ways to give voice to our grassroots people. And we've also had we have some other people that do shows on APTN come in, and they're willing to kind of step forward and kind of enjoy the conversation, so become more accessible. So I've been blessed in that way. We have a few people that will be joining us on segments upcoming. I'd love to have Sherman and the Miss there to come and join us as well. That would be so amazing. And so basically that's it in a nutshell, out to empower the people through voice and accuracy and fairness, and setting the table with integrity and with laws of life as our guidance, and spirit, and praying before we start. So that's basically, so tomorrow I wanted to give a shout out to our show tomorrow. Those of you, join our page, ICLD Educate. It stands for Indigenous Community for Leadership and Development. It's an Indigenous owned company that's out to empower our people, giving voice to our people, shaping programs, curriculum development, things like that. And being new to all of this, it's been a really beautiful experience. I'm really enjoying the learning curve, and just get to be on segments like this is just amazing. I mean, I know that you're across the border over here, and then I even got to see the Miss from, was it from Mari or?
Yes.
Yeah, that was awesome. That's what I love about technology. We can reach so many people, and just break those boundaries. And I think that it's a wonderful tool to really give voice. And doesn't matter where you are in geography, what culture you come from, you have this space right here to kind of have your time and to tell your story. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. I really appreciate it. And thanks for sharing that event that's coming up. We're posting that link on the live feed so that folks can get in touch with it. But if maybe you can say the name of it again and the page where they can find it.
It's Indigenous Communities for Leadership and Development. It's actually the acronym is ICLD Educate, and that's the Facebook page. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Also, I want to do one quick shout out. I have my daughter Fawn Wood has her music on a new show called Blood Quantum coming out tonight. It was supposed to be released in Cineplex theaters last month on March 28th, but because of COVID, it was pushed back to digital platforms now to tonight. So download it, rent it. It's got her beautiful music on there, Fawn Wood, and you'll hear it. It's a zombie show. I never watch zombie shows.
Heard about this.
I'll watch this one. I'll watch this one just because my oldest daughter's music is on there. Yeah, Blood Quantum is the name of the movie. Blood Quantum. Yeah.
Diane, you know this show? Oh, there's a sign. I can see what Sherman put up. Some quick notes.
Oh, I can't see it. Blood Quantum. Yes.
Yeah, you could spell it.
Oh yeah, Blood Quantum. Okay, you spelt it. Good.
You're good. You win the spelling bee, Sherman.
I love zombies, so I'll be watching.
Yes, it's an all Indigenous cast. So it's a real amazing movie. Tell all your friends, all your relatives, watch it tonight. We're gonna rent it. I got a big screen TV, so I'm watching it. Yeah, me and my girl, I have my Raven here and my son Wiser. They're grounded from flights. They were flying home, then they canceled all the flights. So we've been kind of isolated here. This is our studio. This is our workplace. This is our chefing. We do our chefing over here, everything. So
nice.
Yeah, but that's
all in one. Thank you so much for joining us, Cynthia. Yeah, Fawn Wood, very well-known singer. We know her music for sure. And so why don't you go ahead and give us a sample?
Oh,
I'm sure you could sing like her. No, you
okay.
sing.
Okay.
Hey. Unless you want to.
I should get my other daughter here too to come sing with me. Raven, are you available to sing? Okay, she's gonna come. My second girl, Raven,
Nice.
and the youngest girl is Tia Wood. She held the Healing of the Red Dress special at Gathering of Nations. We called out to there was almost 200 ladies in their red jingle dresses. We did a calling out, and what we did, we prayed for the people. So yeah, that was amazing too. So we're just going to sing a cappella. Okay?
Nice. Impromptu. Appreciate this. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll sing Grandma's song. Or do you want to sing How the Stars Shine for you? Okay. We're gonna sing we'll sing her grandmother's song. Or do you want to sing? Okay. Okay. We're gonna sing grandmother's song. This is made by my girl's grandmother, my mother, Quinawit, and it was one of the top selling songs in world music on iTunes downloads, and it beat out everybody for 2 weeks straight in world music. It's called the Grandmother's Song. Okay. Hey, hi, hi. Hi, 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 guys. Yeah, my daughter, Raven, my second girl. We're having a baby too, so I'm so excited. I can't wait to meet my new grandbaby.
Who's having a baby?
Yeah.
Who's having a baby?
He said.
Huh?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow. I was saying.
Pardon me?
I was saying, I was just joking for you to sing when then you whipped that out on us. That was amazing.
I'm a singer.
Thanks for being so ready.
I travel with my flutes, my drums, and my rattle. So it doesn't matter. You say sing or play your flute or drum, I'm there. Right now, I'm a performer. I'm a writer. I'm a singer. I'm a poet. You name it. I'll step up to the game. I'll step up to it. No problem. There's a way I'm taught. They
Well,
know. See, Sherman and the Miss know. They know.
well, we'll have a little after party after this episode. We'll just keep you on and just turn it over to you.
So,
I'm gonna bring in Tony because Tony's he's gonna be our next guest. He's also a musician and one of our relatives from Colville. And I'm gonna read this because he's getting into his music. He's really committing himself to the memory of his uncle Jim Boyd. And I'm going to read this introduction because I want to make sure I get all the information about him correct. Tony,
don't mess it up, Mike.
A Toned Down. He goes by Toned Down Louie. Is an international award-winning performance artist currently gracing stages all across the world. Whether performing soulful original music or paying tribute to his favorite artists when playing cover songs, he brings his own unique flavor to every song he plays. Where the sounds of Chris Stapleton and John Fogerty intersect, you'll find Tony Louie's raw, genuine, unfiltered style. Natural presence moves people and makes them want for more. When seeing Tony perform, be ready to hear a voice that grabs at your soul, whether you're prepared for it or not. Throughout his performances, Tony taps into the deepest parts of his essence to bring alive a raw, bleeding heart that can be felt each and every person, and his sound has a way of grounding even the most restless spirits. Tony Louie's searching, soulful voice and guitar has moments of Otis Redding, Tom Petty, Amos Lee, Bruce from The Ghost of Tom Joad, and something so unique, all his own. That was actually written by Sherman Alexie.
Yeah,
isn't
that's
that
what
right?
I said. Sherman wrote
kidding.
that for me.
At any rate, Tony, thank you so much for being here and joining us this evening and sharing your music. And
That was also his Tinder bio, Mike.
Oh,
yeah. That was my eHarmony
see,
profile
I knew the show was going to go off the rails, but it's all right. We're gonna keep going, anyways. But Tony, thanks for being here. And anything you want to share at the beginning, before you sing, regarding how you're doing in the pandemic and highs and lows of that. But once again, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mike, and everyone else. Nice to meet you guys from New Zealand and our family north of the border there. I appreciate you guys sharing your takes on this COVID stuff and everything that's going on. But yeah, this whole pandemic's been kind of interesting from my perspective as a musician, because kind of make a living playing live and in social settings. So my life kind of got put on pause for a little while. My main source of income is kind of shot, but that's all right. I come from the sticks of Inchilem, so money isn't really worth much there anyway. Just going back a step, living a little more humble than usual. But yeah, they shut our res down, and everything's kind of just put on hold. But like I said, in Inchilem, it doesn't really feel like anything's going on because it's so isolated as it is. But at the same time, it kind of brings me some peace of mind because I feel safe there, especially being one of the caretakers of my grandma. My mom is her primary caretaker, and she's 90 years old, so very high risk to the coronavirus. And having it for the first time, you feel blessed to really not be around people, I guess, because we got to protect our elders and protect the teachings that they still have to pass down to us. So I'm grateful for that. But from an artist standpoint, you'd think I'd be more productive than ever, like Sherman has been. Sounds like he's been writing a lot, but for me it's the opposite, because I'm always on the run. So having to slow down is actually driving me crazy, and I'm less productive than ever because doing nothing is only fun when I have something else to do, I found. So when it's forced upon me, it's making me stir crazy, and I'm going a little nuts and just want to get in my car and go on a road trip or something. But yeah, outside of that, it's been a good time to reflect and kind of gives me better perspective of what I should be appreciative of, especially from a musical standpoint, because been going on the run for the past couple of years, just playing nonstop, as many weekends as I can. And then now that it's taken from you and you're not allowed to legally, you really start missing it, and you remember kind of what brought you there in the first place, that passion that drives your music. So, and I found where my inspiration, it comes from out in the world. It's not from sitting at home. At least from my musical standpoint, that's where I feel the world around me, and that's what I try to incorporate into my own music. So it's hard to tap into that resource of energy when I'm stuck on the res, stuck home. But it's been good to get to be with my family, though. That's been a blessing.
Hey, Tony, before you get into it, we got folks on the live stream asking about the instrument on the keyboard to your left. What kind of instrument that is?
Oh, you mean this?
Yeah.
This. Oh, I forgot to put that away. This was just one of my awards. I don't know how this got out there, actually. Forgot to do.
Say a little bit about it. What is that?
This is Native American Music Award. Me and my partner James Pacotis, we have our own production team called Dream Chasers Collective, and we made our own. We have a lot of different stuff. This is our studio actually that I'm in, and we do all sorts of music projects, from hip hop to my country blues stuff to, just anything and everything you can think of. But we won Best Music Video, and have to check it out on YouTube.
We'll post a link.
See it. Yeah, so check it
That's
out.
Sweet.
If you guys want to see it. Yeah, got our first NAMI. Hoping to go get some more this year if COVID allows it.
Yeah.
but we'll see how this pandemic goes. But just want to bring some good medicine with some of my uncle's songs. These are songs that Sherman helped write with my uncle, who God rest his soul, passed a few years back, and you hear him on Smoke Signals soundtrack and stuff. But these are songs that actually helped me throughout my life, and I got a chance to meet Sherman, and I let him know the significance of his words, what they brought to my life, and the positive influence they had, helping me keep my sanity as a young man growing up on the res, because we all know the challenges we face on the res, and it's especially with family, and all these songs helped get me through some dark times. So hopefully, in times like these, this music medicine can do the same for others. These words are still inspiring and helping bring healing. So, but yeah, I'll just jump into it unless you got any other things.
No, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, for
Do
sure.
it.
Appreciate it. So, first one, this is A Million Miles Away. When I see your face in the firelight, I wonder how I start. Some people might say pretty, well, I'd say you're broken heart. I've got a map here in my pocket, has your name written in blue, and I follow you like a river. If you just guide me through, let's rent a car and drive it 1,000,000 miles away. Let's start a fire and survive it 1,000,000 miles away. Let's steal the sun and hide it miles away. Let's find a storm and we'll ride it a million miles away. When I see you dancing the bar line, I wonder when the song will end. Some people might say you're graceful. Well, I'd say you're brittle and bent. And I've got a map here in my pocket where every town is named for you. And I'll make a stop in Orleans if you just guide me through. Let's rent a car and drive it a million miles away. Let's start a fire and survive it a million miles away. And let's steal the sun and hide it a million miles away. Let's find a storm and we'll ride it a million miles away. When I see you read by the candlelight, I wonder if you hurt your eyes. Some people like happy endings. Well, I've always liked surprise. And I've got a map here in my pocket that shows where Lucifer fell. Yeah, and I'd fall from heaven if you just guide me through hell. Let's rent a car and drive it a million miles away. Let's start a fire and survive it a million miles away. Let's steal the sun and hide it a million miles away. Let's find a storm and we'll ride it a million miles away.
Hey.
Thank you very much.
Woo. Hey, we got your auntie Shelly's posted on the live stream saying your uncle would be so proud of you. And
That's awesome.
it looks like if I'm getting it right, Sherman, you wrote the words, you wrote the lyrics for that. And how does that make you feel seeing the younger generation bringing that forward?
Yeah, Jim Boyd and I wrote that song in 1996. And then it was later used for the soundtrack for Smoke Signals. And, we didn't write songs together for a long time, and I always thought we'd get back together to write songs. And then he passed away. And I miss him a lot, and I miss hearing his voice. And to hear Tony, his nephew, continue that tradition, it's just beautiful and touching, and it makes me sad, and it makes me remember Jim and Shelly out there, and all the great times we had together. Jim actually played at our wedding. He played Peter Gabriel's "In Your Eyes" at our wedding, and Shelly was the photographer. So we go way back, and I'm so proud of Tony, and he's amazing. We're watching The Voice, and you should try, Tony. Get on The Voice. You and Kelly Clarkson can hug.
Oh God!
I'm gonna try to do some brokering here. My brokering hat. Any chance, since we miss Jim dearly, but any chance that Sherman, you and Tony can do some collaborative writing? Just trying to get
Yeah, we talked about it. We talked about it, and he and I also talked about getting a Reservation Blues soundtrack up where Jim and I would perform together.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
There's
Can we
stuff
throw
behind
in some
the
Cynthia
scenes.
Jim and some Matt Orbis?
Yeah, we got the Brady Bunch Indian band going on.
She's got her flute out.
So,
Mike.
Tony,
Mike on the chorus. I want you to sing. You're the only one that hasn't sang for us.
Who's this? Are you talking about me?
Yeah, you get on the track.
you do not want to hear me sing. You'll get the lowest turnout ever.
Hey, Tony, when I met Michael, he and his brother were a rap duo. You could get Mike to do some rapping.
Yeah, I could throw down some lyrics for you, for sure.
Some bars.
Be down for that. Some bars. You got anything? You got one more for us, Tony, that you want to share?
Yeah, I'll share one more. Some Father and Father, another one from the track, holds dear to my heart. Just kind of is very representative of me and my own dad's experiences together. Was raised by my dad and had a lot of hardships, as many of us do. On the res, we all have those struggles that we grew up with, and Sherman and my uncle really nailed it on the head with that song. With the words and the way my uncle would the energy he brought always could just hit you right where you needed to feel it. And that's kind of where I drew my inspiration from to find my own voice. I'm never gonna sound like Jim, so try and sound like Tony instead. But I can still make a song my own, and that's kind of what I try and draw from his career and what I noticed. So, but yeah, this is Father and Father. Sometimes, Father, you and I, like a three-legged horse, can't get across the finish line. No matter how hard he tries and tries and tries. And sometimes, Father, you and I, like a warrior who can only paint half of his face, as the other half cries and cries and cries and cries and cries. Can I ask you, Father, do you know how much farther we have to go? Can I ask you, Father, do you know how much farther we have to go? Father and Father, Father and Father, till we know. Father and Father, yeah, how much farther till we know? And sometimes, Father, you and I are like two old drunks who spend their whole lives in the bars, swallowing down all those lies and lies and lies. And sometimes, Father, you and I are like dirty ghosts who wear the same sheets every day. There's one more piece of us just dies and dies and dies. Can I ask you, Father, do you know how much farther we have to go? Can I ask you, Father, do you know how much farther we have to go? Father and Father, Father and Father, till we know. Father and Father, yeah, how much farther till we know? Father and Father, Father and Father, yeah, till we know. Father and Father, yeah, how much farther till we know? Wichita, give me ra, Horaniko, Horaniko, hene, hene, now. Wichita, give me ra, Horaniko, Horaniko, hene, hene, now. Water spirit feeling swimming around my head makes me feel glad that I'm not dead. Wichita, give me ra, Horaniko, Horaniko, hene, hene, now. Wichita, give me ra, Horaniko, Horaniko, hene, hene, now. Water swimming around my head makes me feel glad that I'm not dead. And sometimes, Father, you and I are like a three-legged horse, can't get across the finish line. No matter how hard he tries and tries and tries. Thank you.
Whoa. Hey, wait a minute. Was that did you do a remix on that and add some Jim Pepper in there?
No, that was the live version my uncle would play. That was
man.
his, I'm not sure. Sherman may have more of a backstory on that one.
Wichita, yeah, that's Jim Pepper. Jim was a huge fan. Jim Boyd was a huge fan of Jim Pepper and put in that remix so that Father and Father and that song were together. Jim Pepper is one of the great Native American jazz players. And the blend of those songs is, I'm just weeping for both songs. Your amazing voice, Tony, just amazing. I just feel, I'm so proud of you, man. Inch-a-limb boy singing like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's an Inch-a-limb boy thing, I guess, huh?
Yep. There's something in the water.
And it must be the mercury from trying to be a water protector in their with a good voice.
Yes.
Hey, Mylene, Cynthia, how you guys feeling about these songs?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, I could listen to that all night and all day. I travel to powwows everywhere, sometimes 15 hours straight just to get to a powwow. And I'm always looking for amazing music, especially by our people. It's just so much more grounding and soul speaking and definitely amazing. Thank you. Kuksha, my hands are up to you. My ancestors to yours. We hear you. Kuksha.
Can we get an invite over to New Zealand, Mylene?
Yes, please.
I think I really enjoyed the words of the second song. That was really important to me. And I think the first song is a very a spiritual journey. Yeah, this longing and this this longing and trying to, like you said, this connection. So I'm just first time I've done it. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
I really thought that was really. It's always a challenge to sing in front of an audience who's going to either be really nice to you or really nasty.
Yeah.
But I thought it was awesome.
Usually they just
my son is a musician, so he sings all the time, and he said, "Mum, you just go with the flow because that's what he enjoys doing, is singing and sharing through music the thoughts of our people. The people from New Zealanders, we like singing. We like to do the haka, which is made famous by the New Zealand All Blacks. But that's very 101 rather than the spiritual, the depth that comes from all the stories behind the haka. So I would argue that all the Indigenous people's songs have a history, have a story, they resonate with us, and we have to keep them alive so that they can go into the next generation to say, we're unique in how we tell our stories, we're unique in how we share those things. And music is always universal, all the time. You could tap your foot, tap your fingers, click your fingers, and enjoy it. So I must say, everybody was going like this while you were singing. So that's a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Woo. All right, thank you, Mylene. Got to give a shout out to Mylene because over here we're like doing the social distancing, we're trying to be social distanced, and you're like taking the cake with being out in outer space, like you're doing the ultimate social distancing, taking it to another level.
You're most welcome.
I wanted to share just a little bit about the history with how Jim Pepper is related or was added in, and your auntie Shelley Boyd shared this on the live stream. She said that Jim was asked to do a tribute to Jim Pepper. Jim Boyd, your uncle, was asked to do a tribute to Jim Pepper in New York, and he added that phrase or that insert of his song to the song that you just sang, Father and Father. So that's kind of the history of how that remix came together, because I knew that song. I had that song on cassette, Jim Pepper. And I remember hearing that, and then when you started singing, I was like, "Wait a minute, that's not Jim Boyd. That sounds familiar." And then I remember Jim Pepper, one of the only jazz musicians that kind of crossed over, did that amazing thing, sort of like the Maori people, they cross over like the guitar playing into the traditional music, and he did that as well. Both Jim Boyd and Jim Pepper. So.
Heck yeah. He only played that live, to my knowledge. So I remember growing up, that's the version I would hear. And
sweet.
So that's kind of just the one I learned. I didn't even know it was from anything until I played it for my Aunt Shelley, and then she told me what it was, but I couldn't remember. I thought cool. I thought that's how they wrote it.
Yeah.
I know with my daughters, Fawn, Raven, and Tia. Tia is the one that's going to cross over to R&B flavors with Round Dance. She's made a compilation of songs and was asked to do a recording with Canyon Records since she was 17 or 16. And it's almost done, ready to start recording all her songs of growing up as a girl to becoming a young woman and then my daughter Fawn has challenging sort of songs in the same breath that kind of tell stories of Indigenous womanhood. Yeah. And it goes to say that even those certain yearning in the song tells a story and tells a conversation with our ancestors, or a conversation with ourselves, or with the earth, or with the water, or the rooted ones, or the swimmers, or the flyers. So I thank you for sharing that heart-bearing songs that you've shared. And it's such a beautiful thing for our people to be able to express in that way. Cook's
Awesome. Hey, Mylene, I was they're giving me the cue to say at least open the invitation if you had a song you want to share as well.
Yes.
Just to put you on the spot as well.
Yes. Yes.
I do have a song, but it's not a national, it's not a indigenous song. So let's see. I've asked my son to get it all together for me. Let's have a look. And you are to all participate.
Okay.
Let's see if you can hear it. I'm just putting the song on. Can you hear it? Can you hear the song?
Barely.
Okay, ready? This is a Maori Indigenous song, Maori group, and they've actually become quite popular. So I want everybody to say their hands. Woo! I might do this to the first verse. Oh, I feel it everywhere. It's cold breathing in the dark. Take me on, I'll lead you there. Woo! And call me when you're far. I don't want to let you down. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's leaving up too long. Oh, I feel it in the air. You know me, I'll keep you on. Okay, Tony, can you give us an action? And we'll all do it together and tell everybody how to do it. Or play the guitar. Woo! You know me, I'll keep you on. Bob your head. It's evident you want me now, baby. My heart's beating on the floor. I see it, then I turn around. You move me, but I want more. Your memory is in the air. And music is all we need. Oh, I feel it, can't you see? Woo! You know me, I'll keep you there. Okay, nearly finished. One verse. Woo! So I used to play in a band and used to like, this is really crazy music.
Woo! Thank you.
And I take you on a ride. Okay. Oh, I get that feeling. Can I take you on a ride? Woo! Knowing what I know, can't you see it, baby, in your eyes? On a Friday night, I can take a chance and go on your romance. Woo!
Woo! Yay!
Nice.
Okay, now try and stop it. Okay, there.
All right. Well, this has been an awesome hour. It went about 20 minutes past. So thanks so much for everybody for sticking around. Sherman and Diane, any final thoughts that you want to share? Just I think the theme kind of switched with checking in from our relatives from Indian country to how to be uplifted through our creativity, and what a bit of an example it's been. Anything the two of you want to share as we close out the show?
You know, when I was talking about routines in my week, on Fridays, my neighbor across the street does a driveway dance party and 3 songs, and we all come out at 5:30 and dance 3 songs in our driveways, and it makes the start of the weekend. And you know, just
5 a.m.
No, not 5 a.m. 5:30 p.m.
Oh, okay.
It's been fun. It's been really fun. So anything to mark time, because sometimes it was all sort of blurring into one day, and now we have some
It's a
specific,
break.
like we know when the weekend is. And
And I watch from the window.
You're not out there.
No, it's too. No, I don't dance.
oh, you do too.
Well, what an honor to spend time with each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here this evening, and just really appreciate your time. And what do you got? Flag. Is that the Puyallup flag?
Ooh, nice.
It was given to me when the last time I was up in Lummi. And I have my Yummy Lummi
Oh
t-shirt.
yeah, that is the Lummi. Yeah. I should have recognized that.
Yeah, this is yours.
All right. Well, we're gonna go over to our Lummi relative, Smakia, and he's gonna close it out for us. And once again, just raising our hands, saying thank you so much for being here this evening. What a beautiful time. I really feel uplifted. My spirit's uplifted. I hope our viewers have been uplifted as well. And we have a couple more episodes left. So be sure to tune in Wednesday and Friday. Friday will be kind of the conclusion of the live stream, but looks like a lot of other stuff is going on. Cynthia, thank you so much for the work you're doing. And also Mylene and Tony, amazing music. And Sherman and Diane, thank you for bringing your spirit, your love and companionship to the group. So at this time, I'm just gonna turn it over to Matt Smakia. Thank you so much for closing it out for us. Oh, Siam. Haishka, Siam. Thank you so much, Smakia. With that, we'll bring the hour to a close. Appreciate you again, once in every one of you. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll see you down the road. Be safe out there. Don't forget to social distance yourself. Stay home, stay safe, stay healthy, save lives. Thank you. Have a good evening. Hoi, hoi kucha.